Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Healthy AF. My name's Amy Chang and I am a health coach here at Healthy Life Health and Wellness Coaching, and I'm glad you're here. This is our last episode in February, all about love, theme of the month. In this episode, I want to really bring it together for you. We've talked about how love can be a motivator, why it's important. We've talked about serving others and checking that motivation, making sure you're not coming out of obligation or a case of the shoulds or just habit, autopilot. We've talked about self-love, why it's important, how we cultivate it, that it's not a journey most of us do on our own. And now I'm going to pull service back in because I think it's important to look at how we serve ourselves and the difference between serving, fixing, and helping. I wanted to start with a little quote from Brené Brown, and this can be found in her Atlas of the Heart book on page 185. I'm just going to read it for you now. It says, "We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known, and when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection." I love that statement. We cultivate love when we're vulnerable and we're seen. Straight out of the gate, I'm going to hit you up with a question. Do you see yourself? Can you be vulnerable with yourself? And when you do that, do you honor that offering of that deep self-reflection and awareness with acceptance, with trust, respect, kindness, and real affection? If not, that's okay. None of us are perfect. I know I'm not. Sometimes the critic is just too loud. But that's where we're going. So I want to just go ahead and set the scene that we're coming from there. We're coming from, I can be vulnerable with myself and others, and I can value being powerful with myself and others and really being seen. I don't have to apologize. I don't have to hide. I don't have to be perfect. I can make a ton of mistakes. I can be just the way I am, and I can honor the connection that is built when we do that with myself and with others. That's the world, if you can be with me there, that's the world that we're coming from. So let's talk about serving. I will put a link to the article that illustrates this so beautifully. I've always heard that helping and serving are different. And I really love the explanations I've always heard of helping versus serving. Helping is coming from a place of, I know what you don't know, and I'm going to show you or tell you what you don't know so that you can do what I know. It has a certain hierarchy about it, a power structure. Serving is an offering between equals. I don't know what it is you need to know. I'm here to serve you with what I see so that you can decide what it is you need to know and do that. Totally different place. So when I came across this article, actually when I was preparing to do this podcast, the first few sentences really brought it home to me. It equated helping because something is too weak, or fixing because something is broken. Now, I work with people all day long, and of course, I have lived this experience where my reflection, my thinking about myself, my experience of myself is that I'm weak or that I'm broken. Here's how I see this show up. And we are going to talk about motivation next month. So this is a great lead in. I hear all the time, I don't have enough willpower. I'm too weak to do this. I know I won't be able to make it. I know I won't be able to follow through. Something is wrong with me because I can start, but I can't finish. That calls for help. I'm weak. And then we've got fixing. I have a lot of people who have had times in their life that have been big, unplanned, painful, sometimes undesired transitional moments. And they have said to me, I'm broken, or I feel broken, or I was broken. And I have felt like that too. And when I first went through the first few, take your pick, top five growing opportunities that were unplanned, I really could relate to this idea of, gosh, I'm broken and I need to be fixed. As I've learned, evolved, become more responsible and more powerful in my life, become more clear about my worth, where it comes from, how it shows up in my daily activities or not, how my responsibility shows up in my daily activities or not, right? I have become to realize that coming from a place of I'm broken is not an empowered place. And I know you may have heard me say this before if you've listened to my podcast at all. You're not broken. And there is nothing wrong with you. Serving comes from a place of wholeness. You're whole just the way you are. You might not like some of the situations in your life right now. You might not like your job, your relationships, your calendar. You might not like your physical fitness. You might not like your nutrition. You might not like your body. You might not like the weather. But you're not broken or weak. You are whole just the way you are. And coming from there, now we can serve. Now you can stand in your dignity. I'm a whole person. I'm a worthy person. I'm a loving and lovable person. And I haven't been taking responsibility for my physical health, my spiritual health, my emotional health. And I need to change this behavior because every time I do it, I get this result. And I don't like that. And I need outside help to cultivate more of this because what's happening between my ears is not serving me. Great. That's where we serve with love for ourselves. You know, one thing that I have learned I listen to so much Brené Brown, and reading her books and listening to her podcast has really been kind of an outside source checker where I can go like, oh, do I do that? Yes, I do that too. And what are my results when I do that? Oh yeah, they're horrible. Would I like to stop doing that? Yes, I'd like to stop doing that. Where do I need to do to grow the tools and skills that I need to, so I can stop doing that behavior? One thing I've learned from her that I love, because I'm horrible at giving feedback. In the past, I didn't want to speak up. It wasn't safe to say anything that wasn't complimentary. So instead of giving tough feedback in my world and my past experiences, whether I was giving it to someone or receiving it, there was a sense of hiding. There was a sense of like, oh no, we can't look at anything negative because I can't accept anything negative, or else maybe I can't love myself. If I have to be perfect and positive to be lovable, right? So in that world, there's no getting feedback that's not okay feedback. And in that world where I lived most of my life, feedback was unsolicited advice or criticism. Even if it was sandwiched, that whole compliment sandwich, I'm telling you, when the middle is a pile of poo, it's still a poo sandwich. We still know. You can't hide criticism in some sugar around the outside. But when we serve, different. What Brené Brown says is you're not ready to give feedback unless you're ready to sit beside the person instead of across from the person. When I really started looking at how I stand up for my truth and the things that I need to say, at first, the only motivation I had to say those things was anger or fear or sadness. And then the feedback I was giving someone sounded more like, you need to go do something. You need to change what you're doing. It was not beside them. It was across from them. And the feedback that I gave myself sounded similar. Well, you need to go do this, and you need to change your eating, and you need to get in the gym. My God, your butt is big. You need to slim down. You need to watch. There's no love in that. There's, you need to be fixed because you're broken. There's, you need to get some help because clearly you're too weak. But there was no, wow, you're great. And if you'd like to, I'll walk beside you as you shift whatever you'd like to shift from a very whole place of loving worth. There was none of that. Not in my internal conversations, and certainly not in my external conversations where somebody might get mad at me. So I'd invite you to look at how often you have a conversation with yourself that is sitting across the table. And what does that feel like? And what would it be like if when you wanted to serve yourself, really take care of you and be straight, really honest, if you came around the table and sat down with yourself in your own wholeness and had a conversation from there. A straightforward, empowering, loving conversation. What might shift for you in your life and in your choices? What a gift that would be. Better than any New Year's resolution you could make in January. Here you can make some stuff happen for your own life out of love in February. Give yourself some grace when you miss the mark because you're going to, and you're still lovable, and so am I. I will see you next month when we start talking about motivation, and we're going to be pulling this love in through the year. Take good care of yourselves and other people, and I'll see you next time on Healthy AF.